Hey guys, this is Rees. Hope you're all doing well. Today I thought I'd do a production tutorial, sort of an overview of my track Candy Jack, which is just released on Outburst Records on Monday. Appreciate support on this one, so if you like the track, go and grab yourself a copy on Beatport, or you can listen to the full version on all major streaming sites. If you are interested in any one-to-one production sessions, which I do offer, drop me an email, willrees.studio@gmail.com. So, on to the session today. I just thought I'd just do a sort of an overview of the track, just going through the elements and how the final version sounds. So, we'll start with the kick and bass, and we'll go on to the percussion and then on to the synths. So, let's start with the kick group, which is here. So the main kick is made out of two kicks. This one, which is providing all the low end. And then I've got this one, which is sort of just a click, because I felt like the first one was just missing some high end. I think there's a touch of reverb as well on the top one as well. So it sounds like that. So if I mute the top kick, onto the sub, I bounced this from, I believe it was silent, and I bounced it to audio just to lock it in. And a fair bit of sidechain and some EQ from FabFilter. And that with a kick. Onto the mid basses. We'll start with the main one, which is this, which is from Spire. With this one, I bounced the whole track to audio and then rearranged all the samples, which is really fun to do. As you can see, there's all these slices in the audio, and I've just sort of all rearranged them all. So I'll play that on its own. So with the processing on this, there's just some EQ, saturator, another EQ there, just taking some of the low end away. Utility, I don't think I was doing anything, to be honest. Filter delay, some sidechain, filter for some automation, high cut, low cut, and then just a limiter at the end. I also made a second version of this bass, which is more sort of clicky. It's got quite high resonance on the synth. It sounds like that. Just layered with that. So that's sort of the main bass line. As you can hear in this section, there's some changes going on within the synth, like pitch shifting and automation on the cutoff, that sort of thing. Yeah, so I've just sort of cut that up and rearranged it all. Onto the other mid basses here, we got a low sort of mid bass here, which I've put through a send, and there's a bit crusher on there. I think it's just a redux. Yeah. If I muted the redux, bit of distortion, and then sidechain again. So far we've got those. And I think there's one more mid bass here, which is just called Mid Bass Groove, and this is from Serum, which sounds like this. I think it's playing the same pattern as the main Spire bass. Just felt like it was missing a little bit of mid-range on the main bass here, so I've sort of filled it out with that serum bass. On that we've got some sidechains, some saturation from FabFilter Saturn, some delay, a little bit of EQ, and another EQ there, just taking out some of the harsh frequencies, I think. So altogether, if we just mute all of the mid basses, sub and kick together. So I've also got another saw bass here, which is sort of introduced now and again. And this has been bounced from Serum again. Later on in the track, it's a bit more constant, like in the drop here. But early on, there's just snippets of that bass playing. That sounds like this. There's quite a lot of white noise on that as well to bring it out. So onto the percussion. Early on in the percussion, there's just some closed and open hats. A lot of them have been layered as well, so they come through the mix quite a lot. So we've got this closed hat to start off with. Then we've got this sort of open shaker. And then a third open hat, which is called harsh open hat. So they lay it together, and as you see, every one of them is doing something in the mix, just bring out that well, especially the last one is quite harsh, so it's really stands out in the mix. I'll come back to the little synth that plays here a little bit later when I go over to the synths. Moving on with more percussion here, a few loops, some claps as well. So we'll go through the claps. I think there's 3 layers to the claps in this track. So there's a clap group here. So you have them layered together. Then we have another loop here. I got some saturation and EQ on that to bring it out a bit more. Another loop here. Got some shakers going on. And then another groove hat, which is introduced here. That. Just a lot of the low end, mid-range cut off. Crash cymbals, there's 2 crash cymbals, one which is a bit longer, and then sort of a short, snappy one. With a bit of delay on there. I think they sound quite cool together. So yeah, I think that does all the percussion in this track. Quite a lot of percussion going on. Guess we'll move on to the synths. And some synths are introduced quite early on. So just before bar 32, there is this riff, which I also have just before the drop of the track as well, which sounds like this. I like to do stuff like that with my tracks. So this is made up of 2 layers, Silent and Spire, playing exactly the same notes. Just solo them so you know what they sound like individually. And that's the Silent, and then Spire. And I've got them going through a group here with some processing, reverb, delay, a little bit of EQ, and high and low cut as well. Moving on to the synth that you heard just then. If I try and find that. Where are we? Yep. That's from Mini V. Arturia, brilliant plugin. Not much processing on this, no delay, hardly any reverb. I think there might be some reverb on here, but no delay. I wanted it quite dry. And then I got some on the Maserati from Waves, just bringing out the top end a bit. And, well, that's not doing anything. Some saturation there as well. So down here we've got some synth stabs and sort of cuts. I can't exactly remember what synth I used for this because they've all been bounced into audio now and cut up, so I'm not going to be able to say exactly what they're from. But I believe this was a loop originally that I cut out. It's got some filter on there, so just turn that off for a minute. So that's that. Then these sort of stabs here, which are introduced, there's quite a lot of these, so I'll just solo these together. And there's quite a lot of automation, panning, reverb, that sort of stuff going on. Also here I've got a delay from, I'm not sure what it was from, but I used the echo in Ableton, which sounds a lot like Logic's tape delay. I think they've done a pretty good job in, well, not the latest version of Ableton now, but I think this is a 10. They've recently bought 11. That sounds really, really good. And they just sort of add some depth to the track. And I just looped that. And there's another variation of this later on in the track as well. They're just sort of saying, playing in the background quite subtly. Down here, what I've done in here, I forgot, I should have actually probably dragged this out to Percussion, but I've got these sort of white hat grooves. I've used this quite a lot in my productions, and it's effectively just white noise from any synth and play around with the decay and release and making my own grooves from it. This has been frozen and bounced into audio just to lock it in. It adds some really, really nice groove to the track. It's almost like a little closed hat that opens up. And then we just got some effects here, white noise effects. And there's also this synth here, which again I'm not sure what's from. And I pitched that with Sound Shifter. Vocal stab that comes in here, this is actually me. I was trying to find a vocal sample and I couldn't quite find the one I needed, so I ended up just doing my own vocal, which is this is a tail that comes off it as well. It's quite subtle in the track, but I know it's there. Moving on, there's another vocal sample that comes in here. And then the sort of main, well, I wouldn't, well, maybe the main riff to the track. So the lead up to the breakdown, and I use it for the build of the main drop as well. This is from Prophet. I ended up actually having to freeze this track because the automation kept changing the parameters of the synth on its own, so I ended up just freezing it to lock it into place. And there's some automation going on here. So this is where the main sort of leads in the breakdown are introduced quite subtly. But I have a group from them here. And they are playing exactly the same MIDI, just layered together. One's from Serum and Spire. And they sound like this on their own. There's quite a lot of automation, bringing these in. So as I see, I got a gain here, just lowering the volume until the breakdown. Stripping the percussion out in this section. And then introducing this little tech lead here, just a stab. And also the pads are introduced in this section. That's from Prophet as well. Really like the pads in this track, actually. I'll just solo these for you. As you can see there, I've automated the auto filter to bring them out in certain sections. The pads are Serum and... two Serums. And then I've got the drone bass, which is introduced where the kick drops out, which is from just a patch I made in Sylenth. Go back to a second. This is where sort of the pads and the melodic elements start evolving a bit. I'll just solo the leads and the pads just to show you how those sound together. And there's another variation of that echo, which I've bounced just for the breakdown. So moving on. So yeah, after the track sort of breathes in the breakdown, this is where I start building up towards the main drop, introducing some of the percussion again, and introducing a few new elements, which I'll get to in a second. This sort of clap effect here, which I think is only introduced in the breakdown. Just an effects kick. Just a down sweep there. So I'll just move on to the build. Got some snares here. And a reverse clap there as well. So this is literally the section where I start pitch shifting. I think pretty much everything, all the synths are shifting, and we'll go through that now. So we're starting off with the pads actually, so I did this with them as well. Where are we? So if we check the automation on the pads, big pitch bend there, and I've done the same with this one as well. That just to build a lot of momentum before the drop. So yeah, that's the drop. As you can see, the riffs are playing again, which are also in the intro, just tying the track together a bit. I like to do that with my music. What I did for the drop was bounced these riffs out together and then cut them up into audio. So this is what's here. And then I've got just a sort of a tail coming on to them as well. Sounds like this in the mic, on its own, sorry. And what I mentioned earlier with the saw bass playing more constant in the drop, this is where it comes in here. Introducing that prophet lead again. And then onto the sort of second drop, if you will, in this section. Stripping all the percussion back. And I've now wicked pitch shift in the bass, which is here. A lot of high resonance in that particular bounce of the bass there. It's cool, like that. And then on to the outro. There's a ride there as well, which I forgot to mention on the percussion section, which is also playing in the breakdown as well, just to build momentum. Sometimes you use a closed hat just to keep the momentum going for the breakdown, but I used a ride this time. I think it worked quite well. There's also that loop I missed out. Dropping out the sub for the outro. And that's the end. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. As I said, I do run my own one-to-one music production sessions. So if you guys want any help with your own music, struggling to finish tracks or just struggling with certain techniques you want to learn, please drop me an email. That's willrees.studio@gmail.com. Thanks for watching.